Hey guys, welcome to Silver Lining Nation, and I've got a really special guest for you guys today. It's Sunny, and first of all, I want to tell you guys, God, I'm so excited to be back. It's been a minute since I have had someone on Silver Lining, so I just wanted to let you guys know how excited I am. And also, this is season number 5 for us, y'all. Can you believe that? It's like time goes by so fast, and this is going to be our first episode. So, and our guest is Sunny. Sunny is really interesting, so I think you guys are going to really enjoy her story. This is Sunny. And Sunny is my guest. She's my first guest, guys, for season 5. And this is our first episode. And Sunny's been sober, is it 8 months, Sunny?
Yes, 8 months and 6 days, but who's
Oh,
counting?
of course. Well, congratulations too, girl.
Thank you.
And thank you for agreeing to be on Silver Lining Nation. I wanted everybody to know who you were. Let me tell them some quick things about you. Sunny enjoys cooking, y'all, and she's an excellent cook. I've had the pleasure of being invited over, and y'all know I love food, so I get to experiment some of her great cooking. And she's also loves to do a lot of different crafts. One of the things that I like about Sunny is she's so unique in doing things. One of the things she's working on right now is a boat. Sunny, you want to tell us something about that?
Well, actually, yes. I have been, as you know, a revolving door as far as sobriety is concerned. And there was another time in my life, or many years ago, when I was sober, and I had got this grandiose idea from my brother-in-law, who built his sons some kayaks, and they were absolutely beautiful. And so I had gotten a pamphlet and started studying, probably, I don't know, like from 50 different choices of boats, and started building this like 7 years ago. And then I relapsed, and up until recently, I finally pulled the boat out of storage. Did I start building it again? So I'm in the process of doing the outside of the boat, where I'm sanding and epoxying and sanding and epoxying and sanding and epoxying, and about to flip it back over and start working on the inside so that I could have something to ride this summer.
Awesome. I think that's so unique. I can't wait to be invited for that one. Hint, hint, I'm inviting myself. You heard that, right?
Yes.
So, Sunny, tell us about your recovery, what it was like, what happened, and tell us about what it's like now. And also, I want you to share with the viewers. Some people struggle with coming into the rooms of the 12-step program and only picking up one chip. And I know that's not been your experience. So I'll make sure that you share that with them too, so they don't think that, it's a one-time thing for everyone. I mean, some people, it takes more than one
Well,
try.
it's
So,
definitely taken me more than one tries. I've started coming back I started coming back or coming into these rooms back in 2015. And
mm,
I have, as I call it, was a revolving door, where I came in, but I think the biggest difference today in comparison to the years prior is that I'm diligently working the 12-step program, and sponsoring is definitely key to my success,
mhm.
although it's taken a village for to keep me sober. And when I came back into these rooms 8 months ago, not only did I have my sponsor, but I also had a life coach,
Mhm.
um, also working the 12-step program. And then one of my old sponsors is a very good friend of mine. And between these three ladies, I would call them every single day and
Mhm.
have a conversation with them. And back in the day, I was adamant about not doing step 4.
Mhm.
And you know, whether that's why I relapsed or not relapsed, or you know, all these times, I don't know, but I'm working the program, and I'm on step 8 and 9, which is
Mhm.
basically, you know, talking about, well, you've talked about your indiscretions, but now is, are you willing to, you know, go and ask for amends for some of the shit, excuse my French, that you did when you were drinking and drugging. And so I've picked up I countless 24-hour chips, and I've never picked up an 8th-month chip. There was another time that I was sober for a year, but I stopped going to into the meetings after 6 months, and I worked my own sobriety. But I can tell you that I was miserable, you
Mhm.
know, up and down for the latter 6 months. And today is definitely not the case. I mean, you know, I've got a name like Sunny. I kind of have to live up to it.
I like that.
So I try. You know, I really am happy, joyful, and free, as they would say in those
Mhm.
rooms.
Mhm. So you
I
you you think that the reason you kept relapsing is because you didn't want to work step 4? Because there's a lot of people that come in and out of recovery, and we call it 3-stepping. They do 1, 2, 3, and they're gone. They, you know,
yeah,
they go out the door.
yeah. I mean, I just wasn't really sold on, you know, as much as I liked, you know, the fellowship of the group, and I still do very much so like the fellowship of the group, and I still at the same time, you know, I'm not a, you know, a big as the book that they read,
Mhm.
you know, big. I do
Mhm.
it because it's expected of me, and the 12 steps and traditions or whatever. I read that as well, and I do journal as well
Mhm.
now. But it's not my primary literature that is my go-to and my reading literature. And
Mhm.
so I kind of encompass a lot of different readings as part of my sobriety notebooks, I guess you could say. uh,
Mhm.
Thoroughly enjoy. Like, there's a book called Quit Like a Woman,
Mhm.
and I thought that was a phenomenal read. And for those who don't want to do a 12-step program, you know, maybe that's something that they could look into. It's
Mhm.
written by women for women.
Mhm.
Uh, Although I've had and encouraged some men to read it that are not so machismo, that they could actually, you know, garner stuff from it. I'm currently reading a book called The Sober Lush, which is very good and talks about, you know, um, the beautiful things about life, you know, when you're
Mhm.
sober, and to enjoy life in the quiet times, and the crazy times, and all this stuff. And that's a good book too. So I try to encompass the different things to you know, give me a good foundation in my sobriety. But I will say that the fundamental foundation of my sobriety is the 12-step program.
But you out what you're saying is you use other materials as well.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and I like that. I can respect that. So this you've had two sponsors since you've been in the 12-step rooms. Is
No,
that correct?
I've had one, two, three, four now. This is going to be my fourth sponsor.
Is that in the same is that in the same rooms that we both attend?
Yes, yes, I
Okay.
still see my, and it was definitely nothing wrong with the sponsors. It was definitely
Mm-hmm.
me that had a
Mm-hmm.
problem. They were amazing people. and they're still very good friends of mine now. So, and maybe that's how it's supposed to be. Maybe I'm supposed to be their friends and them not sponsor me.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4 sponsors, I think. So,
Yeah.
and you,
And most of them, they've been on Silver Lining Nation
yes, Kathy,
that
my
themselves. Kathy was one of my, well, all of them I love, but Kathy, she's just a hoot, you know.
yeah, amazing.
But she was on Silver Lining as well, and I probably, yeah, she was one of my most interesting interviews, put it
Mm-hmm.
that way. But so what was it like before you came into the 12-step program?
Well, I mean, I was definitely a full-blown alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
And drug addict, I would say. I mean, drugs wasn't necessarily my choice on a daily,
Mm-hmm.
but I drank every day. I happen to be in the oil and gas business, and we have hour-and-a-half lunches. So I would start my drinking at noon, and I would get as much in as I can, in that hour-and-a-half time period. Go
Mm-hmm.
back to and then I get off at 4:30, and then I would start drinking again.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, you you can start adding those cups up or shots up or drinks up or whatever. And I was probably drinking at least 10 drinks a day.
Mm-hmm.
And and some people that's a lot, and some people that's a little, for their alcohol consumption. But it was enough for me to create quite the volatile lifestyle for me. I mean, I've been arrested probably 9 or 10 times. I've kind of
Mm-hmm.
out for different things, and although I was very quote unquote successful in my job, and it's provided a nice lifestyle, I was, when the lights were down, and because I was always at the bar. I wasn't the type of person that drank at home. When I got home, and there was silence and you could hear your own thoughts. Yeah, I was miserable. I
Yeah.
was miserable. And
Yeah.
Lorraine, I didn't do any of the things that I'm doing now,
Mhm.
the productive things. I
Really?
was wasting. No, I didn't cook at home. I ate out every day. I've got an app
Mhm.
on my phone called Sober Today, and I put in, my sobriety date, which is May 5th, 2023, and
Mhm.
it calculates how many units
Mhm.
of alcohol that I drank, which I don't look at that one number very much.
Mhm.
It's a lot. And of course, it counts the days
Mhm.
sober, but it also counts how much you spend.
Oh, oh, really?
And to
That would just depress me, girl.
well, I would be a millionaire by this point had I never picked up alcohol or drugs, because just in
Hmm.
6 days that I've been sober, when I looked at this last, I've saved over $18,000 not drinking or drugging or eating out.
Yeah, when I look at the lawyers that I had to pay. I look
Oh,
at the
oh,
breathalyzer that I had to have on my
oh,
car, the surcharges, all
last,
that stuff is what.
last years alone, getting myself out of jail and lawyers and bonds, and I am not exaggerating, has cost me over
Mm-hmm.
$100,000.
Yeah, yeah. At me, it adds up. So that just would have depressed me if they had an app back when I was getting sober, where I had to add up. I probably I wouldn't have added it up anyway. That would have been too much for me. You know, I I was already depressed enough without adding more stuff onto my plate.
But
I I remember you were talking about that
you can,
you were
right?
arrested out of the country.
No, no, I've never been arrested out of the country. It's always been here in the United States.
Okay.
I did go on a trip where I kind of threw a fit at the airport, and I thought I was going to get arrested, and I had to go into Mexico or into Cancun and
Okay,
stay
I
the
guess
night.
that's where I got it confused.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Tell us about that.
Okay. Well, goodness, this was 2 years ago. It was for my birthday. I went down to Cancun with my sister and my ex-wife, which you never bring sand to the beach, and I did. And, and we were what we always did, and drank the whole time, and
Mhm.
you know, and then of course her and I ended up getting in a fight because I was talking to other women, to be perfectly frank, but
Mhm.
it was not to be flirting or anything like that. I'm just a friendly person, and but she didn't like that, and she threw a fit, and we got in a huge fight, and she left. And then when it was time for me to get to the airport, I didn't have this little pass that you're supposed to have before you come back into the country. And when I went back to get the pass and came back, they gave up my seat, and I was pissed. And so I threw a fit, and she declined to she told me that I wasn't allowed on American Airlines ever again. And uh, I speak Spanish fairly well, and so I was throwing Spanish, and she decided that so I decided that I needed to leave the airport completely, otherwise I was going to get arrested. And so I got in a taxi and got cocaine, drank some more, was in the middle of Cancun, and yeah, it was, and then
Mm.
got back on another American Airlines flight the very next day and flew back here to the U.S.
I went to Cancun. I don't see. I guess it takes you being in your addiction to find anything in a country that you're not familiar with, because I don't even know how you venture out that far.
Yeah,
So that wasn't my experience when I went. And so also you also mentioned that you are in your relationship are with other females. Do you find that to be real comfortable talking about your lifestyle in the rooms of recovery? Do you find that nobody judges you? We just fit in with no matter what
yeah,
we are. Does
yeah. That's
that is
where you fit in. I've never had a problem with
mhm,
my sexuality in the room,
mhm,
and not that I barely bring it up all the time
mhm,
or anything like that. Everybody knows that I'm gay, or all the people that are close to me definitely know that I am. And it's but it's that's not that's not who I necessarily identify
mhm.
as, so that's not put my foot forward and say, hi, I'm Sunny, I'm an alcoholic,
Yeah.
by the way.
And by the way, I got this right here.
Yeah, but
I get it's that's what I love about the rooms of recovery. It's like nobody cares. The main thing that we care about is, each other staying sober.
yes,
And 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 that's the beauty part of it. It's like we mix in the main thing that we help each other with is, are you sober today? That's mainly what we care about. And the reason I brought it up is because I want the viewers to know, it doesn't matter what your sexuality is, it doesn't matter what your race is,
correct,
we don't care.
correct.
We are people that wouldn't normally mix, but we mix really well, and it's like a village that we have. And that's why I brought it up, because I really like to make sure I address that and to
Yeah,
let the viewers know that we're all different, and we can we still mingle and we get along and we respect each other.
yeah. It
So,
doesn't matter if you're black, white, Asian,
mhm,
gay, straight. It doesn't matter.
mhm,
We're there with a common purpose and a
yes.
common goal, and that's to stay sober one day at a time. And the all those little nuances are minuscule in comparison to the grand scheme of things on, you know,
Mm-hmm.
what are there to do on a whether you show up daily or, you know,
Mm-hmm.
3 times once a week or once a month. You know, that's definitely um I couldn't personally feel more comfortable in those rooms than I ever have been over the last 8 years that I've been in and out of the rooms.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So
I'm more comfortable in the rooms than I am in any other place. And I said it a lot on social media. Um, you also mentioned that you now sponsor other women,
no,
right?
I have not volunteered for that yet.
Okay.
No,
Are
I
you what's your thoughts about it? Are you excited
um
or what's your thoughts
I
about
I
being a sponsor?
I want to finish my all 12 steps before I feel like I'm ready to sponsor somebody. You
Hmm.
know, the the other aspect, of course, is doing service work.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
and
So important.
yeah, and my service work and I probably am working this my own self, but it's inviting ladies over for dinner like you.
Yeah,
And
you do that a
yeah,
lot. Hmm.
and doing little stupid project or, you know, stupid projects where I'm building something for somebody or whatever, or I show up early and make coffee,
Hmm.
or they have a program on Saturdays. Tanya does a yoga meditation
Yeah,
meeting. And
that's my sponsor, by the way, y'all.
oh yeah, amazing. And so
Yeah.
normally I go up to the 7 o'clock in the morning meeting, and
Mhm.
her yoga session doesn't start till the meditation session. And I do want to emphasize
Mhm.
a lot of meditation, not just yoga, where some people feel that they're out of shape and they can't do it or whatever, but it's really easy. And
Mhm.
so I wait around for an hour, and then I move the chairs and I put the lights out and stuff like that. So I do little service work.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm sure I'll be encouraged to be sponsoring somebody eventually.
Yeah.
And I know,
And it's service work in just like you mentioned, it's not just about sponsoring. It's about all those things that you're saying you're doing. The fellowship is what's important. And I also know that you've helped a lot of people with jobs. So that's a form of service work too. And that's amazing that you're able to do that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that you get to do that.
I'm blessed.
Yeah. So your program now, we talked a little about it, but what's the most um, important part of your program that really helps keep you sober right now? It could be one of the steps, it can be, the fellowship, or what is it that I want to know what's it like for you now? I know we touched based on it a little, but I want you to give us more details
Sure,
of, you know.
sure. Well, to emphasize, it is 100% without a shadow of a doubt the fellowship.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it, you know, I go in personally to the 7 o'clock in the morning meetings about 5 times a week. Sometimes, you know, on Saturdays, I usually take Sundays off or whatever. And I've got two groups here in Louisville that are only about a mile and a half away from me, and I don't. And by the way, I only work about 200 yards away from where I live, so I could be going to groups in particular.
Mhm.
Um, have gone there, but I don't, for me, feel welcomed there necessarily.
Mhm.
Um, and I grew up in, or spent the last 12 years in Addison, and then have started my program in Addison. And so that's where I get up every morning. I drive 20 miles down south to
Mhm.
7 o'clock in the morning meeting, and then I drive back to work, and that's how I start my day normally. And it is absolutely the fellowship that I believe that keeps me sober today, and the fact that they're very solution oriented,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
you know, there's not everybody, but a lot of them are business people who are starting their day
Mhm.
off,
Mhm.
and so that's how I like to start my day before I go to work.
Mhm. I know. Um, when I came in and I started getting sober, I thought it's gonna be the end of the world. It's gonna be so freaking
Yeah,
boring. Without, how do I live? I'm just gonna be this boring person without alcohol or drugs.
yeah,
I'm not gonna have a life, poor me,
yeah.
right? So, what's been your experience on that? Other than I know that you have the ladies come over, but I know that you do other things with individuals in the group as well. So, tell us about what you do for a social life and um, how has your have the impression that you had that you wouldn't have a life after alcohol and drug changed?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I, of course, went through, and I think this is a very common feeling that when you take alcohol away, that your social life is going to
Yeah.
diminish, and that is completely contrary to reality. And
Mhm.
it, for me, it is about being connected to the program and the people. And you have to. The thing is you have to go in there with an open heart and open mind. And
Mhm.
the ladies, because that's who I know, socialize with initially. And I've
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of fantastic male friends in the
Yeah.
group. Um, but is taking their kindness that they offer when you first come into the room, and when they give
Mhm.
you a list of phone numbers,
Mhm.
damn it, take it. And pick up
Yeah.
when they call you, or call them randomly, and I know that
Mhm.
it's uncomfortable, but, and again, because I had been in and out of the program, I was very close to a lot of people regardless, and I never ever felt judged about coming
Mhm.
back. And as a matter
Mhm.
of fact, last time that I came back into the program, I was very resistant, but I had a
Mhm.
lot, and I still do, legal problems.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and but I knew that I had to get sober, but I didn't want to be sober. And I
Yeah.
bitched
Yeah.
out about it for the first 2 weeks that I came back into the room, about how I didn't want to be in the rooms, but I still
Mhm.
loved everyone. And I didn't, it wasn't anything
Mhm.
personal. I just didn't want to be in those rooms.
Uh-huh.
Um, but my life is very full, and
Mhm.
I have, I've got my work, so that occupies my time a little bit.
Mhm.
I'm blessed to
Mhm.
have a lot of people that are getting sober who've lost their jobs, and
Mhm.
they're
Mhm.
they're, they're friends. And the thing is those rooms provide a network of people that you can reach out to and get close to,
Mhm.
and my friends just continues to grow, and it
Yeah.
continues to flourish. And there's different groups of girls that I go to breakfast with, on
Mhm.
Saturday.
Mhm. Mhm.
um we coming up in a couple weeks, I invited myself with a group of girls to go down to Waco, and that are all sober, that are
Oh,
going to go
cool.
to this, um, I don't know, the store, that's real popular on HGTV.
Mhm.
I forgot what it's called, but so you gotta kind of put yourself out there, and not completely
Mhm.
check yourself off or be shy. And I'll say this too, and this isn't for everybody, but I still hang out with a lot of my friends that still drink.
Mhm.
Um, that could be playing with fire for some people, you know, but for me, it's not. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm still invited to their girls' parties, and I
Mm-hmm.
had a party where I mixed my drinking friends with my sober friends, and we had a great time. And
Awesome.
I warned my sober friends. I said, "Look, there's going to be some alcohol at the house, but I'm going to do a brunch." And we had
Uh-huh.
about 12 girls here, 6 sober,
Yeah.
and ironically, the other 6 who weren't sober, I think only 2 were drinking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And nothing crazy. They were normal.
Yeah.
They brought one bottle of wine and shared it between 2 or 3 other girls.
That's really funny, isn't it?
They're normal drinkers, but
Yeah, I could that one bottle would have been just for me.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, that would have been just for me. I know. Okay, I'm gonna get this one right. Your sister visited you not too long ago. Is that
yes.
correct? So, how does your family feel about the new sober Sunny?
Well, of course they love it. My sister
Mm-hmm.
always said I'm nicer now, which of course I'm all like, well, I didn't think that I was mean, but apparently I have some amends to make. But well, the thing is my family doesn't live here in Texas. I fly solo. So, but I think that I was selfish in my motivations. Where I didn't make the effort necessarily to go to Colorado or to go to Kansas City. And my sister has a family in
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City. Got 4 kids, and I made an effort once a year typically to go see them, but no phone calls to the kids on their birthdays,
Mm-hmm.
or terrible that
Mm-hmm.
remind me, but you know and I just was very it's like I kept myself at an arm's distance.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't one of that type of alcoholic, where you get home at night and you start making phone calls to all your friends and family, and have those drunk talks.
Mm-hmm.
I I cut myself off from my family in a lot of ways,
Mm-hmm.
and so that they wouldn't hear me, but they knew what I was up to, and they knew the
Mm-hmm.
troubles getting myself into and out of and into and out of and stuff like that. And so that's probably how I hurt my family the most. Oh, and so to get back to your point is, yes, my sister came down, and my mother actually also came down to visit me
Nice.
a few months ago. And I've got a 2-bedroom apartment, and I had all my junk stuffed into the spare bedroom, and she said, well, if you clean that up uh, and organize and set that up, I'll come and visit you. And it was the first time, I think, in 11 years my mom came to visit me.
In 11, did you
Yes,
say 11?
that's
Wow,
correct.
that's crazy, girl.
I know.
So how long was she here?
She was here, I think she flew in on a Friday and left on a Monday.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we had a nice time.
Good. So was there anyone in particular that, since your family, you distance yourself from them, was there anyone in particular that was involved and got the burn up your disease? That that was there in the beginning, in the middle of it. Does that make sense what I'm asking you?
That they
Is
got
there
the Yeah,
like
they were like affected by it in different ways, shapes, and forms.
mm-hmm,
So I would say that I started drinking heavily when I went to college. And
okay.
yeah, I drank a little bit in high school here and there, but I was an athlete and a pretty good student. And
Mm-hmm,
but when I got to I did not have a sense of direction anymore, because I was no longer playing sports, and that
mm-hmm,
was my focus. focus, and then my grades were important. So because if you didn't have the have a certain GPA, then of course then you couldn't play sports, and sports was my passion.
Mm-hmm.
When I got to college, that was no longer no longer in the picture. I had basically crippled my ankles, you know, from sports or whatever. And so I decided that I wasn't going to play anymore because I didn't want to end up in a cast for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And, so that's when my drinking really took off. And just to put it into perspective, I did 4 years of college and I only came out with 45 credits.
Oh, wow.
And I went back to college when I was sober another time. So I basically had to do 3 years of college. And I went back to school when I was 35, and I did 3 years of school in a matter of 2 years. And I finally got my degree, and then I
Cool.
stuff like that. But I mean, girl, I was crazy in my early 20s. And I think part of the problem for me, so not having a sense of direction, or accountability. Like my mom paid for college the first year,
Mm-hmm.
and I started paying for my own year and a half probably,
Mm-hmm.
paying for my own college. And once that happened, I did not feel accountable to my mother, and so I did what I wanted, which was a bunch of nothing and a bunch of drinking too. And um, you know, that's when I started coming out of the closet as well. And my first girlfriend, I was 21, and I was working in the restaurant industry, and you know, that's when I started doing coke, and then I got a hold of
Oh,
methamphetamines.
wow.
So
You're full blown now.
yeah, exactly. And so I and what got me sober from that was I ended up stealing a car that I at a dealership that I used to work at, and didn't return it for like 3 days, and then, you know, returned it. I've never told that story to you.
Well,
And
people usually tell me stuff that they don't tell anybody else first. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, so so that got me clean off of that nasty drug, but then I still drank, you
Yeah, yeah.
know, and
Hmm.
and I still drank, and I, you know, would get in trouble, in and out of troubles here and there and stuff like that. Probably another 10 years worth of drinking. And then I started getting in trouble with the police here in Dallas, you know, for different things, and getting them called on me and throwing fits, and then getting thrown into rehab and getting out
How
and
many
drink
rehabs have you been in?
too.
Two?
Yeah. So one was a 30-day rehab, and then I also did this rehab out in Washington once. That was a an inversion therapy, and,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but basically they give you this drink. I forgot what it's called, but it's nasty. And then you drink a bunch of water, and then they put you into these rooms and have you drink alcohol and sit in front of a
Are
mirror. And
you kidding?
no, I'm not kidding. And you like puke your lungs up, and you look at yourself on how you like get red and start changing colors, and yeah. So I came out crazy.
This this is a rehab? They
Yes. Out of, yeah.
You pay to go there?
Yes, I did. I paid to go throw up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
So you're like me. I've had I am an addict and an alcoholic. But when I came into the rooms of the 12 steps, I didn't know that I was an alcoholic. So how did you how did you decide to come into the 12 step program for alcohol, be, being an alcoholic instead of an addict?
Well, that started when from the first rehab, because a lot of rehabs are 12-step
Mhm.
based, and so rehab that I went into was a 12-step program based rehab, and
Okay.
that's how I got into these rooms.
Okay. Okay. Because when I came in, I didn't know what a alcoholic was.
Right.
And they had to explain to me that, you know, if I could I not drink and do the drugs, I do the drugs and not drink. And
Yeah.
I couldn't, if I didn't do the drugs, I still wanted to drink. So that's why I knew that my disease I was center around alcohol instead of the drug itself.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I, it's weird because I don't crave alcohol anymore at all.
Mm-hmm.
But 8.5 months ago, or 8 months and 6 days ago, I knew I needed to come back into the room because I would wake up and all I could think about was when noontime was going to come around on when I could start drinking. And it's funny because I thought I was better than everybody else because I didn't start drinking first thing in the morning.
Don't we all?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not as bad as you,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, the
Right.
session to drink was constant. It
Okay.
constant for me, and that was one of the miracles that I have received in the program, is that that obsession has completely been
Mhm.
alleviated from my mind.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's talk about what do you feel about spiritual awakening?
Well, that's I'm probably not as spiritual as a lot of people that are in the program,
Mm-hmm.
but I do believe in a higher power.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've personally, I've had a burning bush moment when I was like 15 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and as, somebody who's gone through schooling and taking different like psychology or sociology or classes,
Mm-hmm.
I have been trying to convince myself that I was an atheist, but I
Uh-huh.
always had that burning bush moment that I would reflect back on and be like
Yeah.
an moment that happened when I was not drunk or high or on mushrooms or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
where I had prayed to God over a situation, and it literally, the room lit up.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to this day, I'm not the type of person that gets up in the morning and gets on my knees and prays,
Mm-hmm.
and I really don't do it at night, but I still have like, for example, when I got out of jail this last time, because I got a DUI while I was on probation, I
Mm-hmm.
was supposed to go back to jail for at least a month to 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I didn't get sober right away after that DUI, but I was um, getting random UAs,
Mm-hmm.
and so then I tried to regulate the drinking to just Fridays,
Mm-hmm.
and and that I ended up with a hangover that was just so killer that I woke up on one Saturday and I was all like, enough's enough. And so I went back to
Mm-hmm.
the rooms, but then I started, Lorraine, not only did I go back into the rooms, but then I also got a counselor, I got a life coach,
Mm-hmm.
I got a sponsor, and
Mm-hmm.
started doing all the things. And one of the miracles is I don't have to go back to jail.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
so
good.
yeah, so and that, like I said, that was guaranteed, from 1 month to
Mm-hmm.
5. So I think that, as far as spirituality is concerned, that there is something that
Mm-hmm.
is for me and has my
Yeah.
best in.
Yes. So you have a life coach, sponsor, and
A counselor.
counselor.
Yes.
How do the three work together? I mean, do they tell you, are they on the same path? Are they all in the program?
No,
How does that work?
no, my counselor is not an alcoholic or never has been.
Okay,
So she is, of course, familiar with the 12-step program, but we don't
okay,
really we don't really talk about the 12-step program in
okay,
that regard. It's more my personal traumas that I
okay. Got you.
like that
It's
that
where
I'm
we say we're not doctors.
yeah.
Okay,
And my life coach focuses typically on my work life.
okay.
Um, and triggers and who's my support group,
Mm-hmm.
and can we call each other and talk to each other about Sunny and whether she's the right thing or not the right thing. And then of course my
Yes.
sponsor, where we work the 12-step program together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
That's
it's
so
like
that
it's
takes up a lot of time, right? I mean, do you meet with them? How I know with sponsors we see them quite often, at least twice a month, right? Or
yeah
some well, with you probably once a week. So
yeah
if
I
you're working the steps.
Probably not and it's probably even less than that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I committed to doing a step a month. So,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I've done two steps in a row, and because you
Mm-hmm.
can rate like 4 and 5 together, and
Right.
now I'm like on 8 and 9 right
Okay.
now, and I'll before this month is up or whatever, I'll make sure I do all my usually I cram. I'll do all my
Okay.
reading and I'll do all my journaling, and then I'll tell Kathy that I'm ready, and
Uh-huh.
then we'll do it. But I see her probably 5 times a week because we go to the same meetings.
Right.
And then my counselor, I don't commit to on a weekly basis. I see her every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
my life coach, I've kind of let that go to the wayside a little bit, but we were seeing each other weekly.
Okay.
Um, but I need to get back on that one, and make sure that, because I call it kind of like my you got a chair, and a chair is not going to stand up with just
Yeah,
one
I
leg.
heard you say that other day and I really liked it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So sounds like you got it together, girl.
Oh,
I mean, I like the life coach thing. That's something that's different. I've never heard anyone in the program mention that they had one, but I think that's awesome to have one. Um, And it sounds like you're enjoying recovery. I love hearing that. I mean, that's what it's about. It's about laughing, having fun, making new friends, and enjoying life and being
yeah.
sober. And and you show that it's possible. And
Yeah.
like I told you earlier, I like the things that you do, that you are creating things in life. And I wanted you to show your boat, but I know you're not. It's outside, and I brag about you a lot, girl. I'm
Oh,
like, I got this friend. She's building her own boat.
I wish
So
I could. Let me see if I can share a picture of it. I
cool.
don't see anywhere I could do it. I apologize, but yeah, no, it's a beautiful piece of art.
Oh, it is. In the table
Are you?
that end table, that not the sofa table that you made.
Oh yes, I did.
I
I did a wood epoxy bench that's 10 feet by 2 feet, and I did that too.
love, love, love that. The marble was absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely amazing. All right, Miss Sunny, thank you so much for being our first
Sir.
guest for season 5. And I've really enjoyed interviewing you. This was amazing. I needed it. I needed to get back um, in the mix of things. So thank you
Absolutely.
for agreeing and saying yes, girl. It meant a lot to
Well,
me. So guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed Sunny. Sunny I, what do you want to say to the guests before you leave?
Oh, I just appreciate everybody that, came to listen to my nonsense, and there's hope out there. And, that's I think the most important thing to grasp onto is that there's hope, and,
Yeah.
there is a way.
Hmm.
Um, just kind of, as they always say, is trust the process.
Yes, yes. And enjoy why, enjoy a moment of being sober. Even if you have one day, you got that one day.
Hmm.
It's not about, don't think about how many days, don't think about tomorrow. Just try to focus on where you are. Stand where your head and your feet are is really important, guys. So we're going to wrap this one up. And guys, remember, if nobody told you today that they love you, heard from us here at Silver Lining Nation, we love you. Take care, guys, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Sonny.
See you later.